Talking about mental health with loved ones can often feel uncomfortable, even overwhelming. You might worry about saying the wrong thing, not knowing how to help, or even facing stigma within your own family. But having these conversations is crucial. And in today's video, I'm going to share 5 powerful strategies to talk about mental health in a way that builds trust, strengthens relationships, and breaks down stigma. So without further ado, let's dive in. Let's talk about why mental health conversations are so hard. Okay. Why is talking about mental health so difficult for families? And before I get into that, let me just say that depending on what generation you come, generation you come from, I come from my parents' generation where a very spiritual background, very religious background, where mental certain aspects of mental health were just considered. We came from a certain type of tradition, so it's like, well, that's just the devil, or that's just evil, that you have to overcome, right? I think it's because, well, I know it's because my parents didn't really have a category, and their generation, and even the generation before them, didn't have a category for mental health concerns. The fact that there were real mental health issues, and if there were mental health studies happening and going on during that time, they just didn't have access to the knowledge or the resources to know that this is actually something that can be treated. This is something that actually is bothering your brain, right? And that, just like you would have to go to the hospital for, hurting your knee or hurting a body part, then, mental health is just the same level of concern, probably even more, because it has to do with the nerve center and the thought center of your brain, right? Um, Very important. So many of you may have grown up that way. And if you grew up that way, then you know that mental health was not easy to be talked about in the family, right? So a lot of families struggle with the stigma, misunderstanding, and fear of talking about mental health or having mental health conversations with loved ones. Okay. Some avoid the topic to prevent discomfort, while others feel guilt or blame. And the crazy part about that, or the tough and difficult part about that, is there are people who are dealing with valid and recognizable to a mental health professional mental health concerns and recognizable trauma and things that need to be diagnosed. And because their family may misunderstand it, they aren't even able to talk about it with their family. The truth is, mental health affects all of us. All of us have some level of mental health deficiency. Okay. And avoiding the conversation really only makes things worse. So if you've ever struggled to talk about mental health in your family, I want you to drop a heart in the comments, right? Drop a like in the comments, right? You don't have to get into detail about what the mental health struggle was, but drop a like in the comments. I want you to know that you're not alone, okay? I want you to know that we're in this together. But let's get into our 5 tips for talking about mental health with loved ones, the people that we love, the people that are in our lives, right? We're talking about 5 tips about talking about mental health with loved ones. First tip is, and I love this one, we want to start with compassion and not judgment. Okay. Approach a loved one with kindness and curiosity rather than just coming at them and trying to diagnose them. All right. Or just assuming things. All right. Instead of you always seem down, which can be very discouraging to a person. What's wrong with you? Instead of saying that, it's not the thing to say. You might want to try saying, I've noticed you've been quiet lately. Do you want to talk about why you're so quiet or withdrawn? Okay, that's a much more succinct and much more directed, compassionate way to respond. Okay. Tip number 2, you want to create a safe space. All right. If you're going to address mental health concerns with a family member, or if you're going to address mental health issues or deficiencies with a family member, make sure you choose the right time and place to address those things. Oftentimes, people can feel embarrassed about what's happening, especially if they don't understand the mental health thing that they're going through, right? Even if it's something everybody else can see and that person can't see, well, that might be even more embarrassing for them. So what you want to do is you want to choose the right time, choose the right place. Okay. somewhere private and calm where the person can feel safe and secure and you guys can really talk about whatever the concern is. And when that conversation happens, you want to be an active listener. You want to nod and maintain eye contact. Make sure the person sees that you're present and that you understand what they're saying, and you want to avoid interrupting that individual. Okay. Tip number 3, I want you to educate yourself, okay, and challenge the stigma. I'm looking at some of you out there, and I know that um, you may have, if you're anything like me, you think you know it all. Even some of you mental health professionals, you think, hey, I know this, I know what's going on here, right? What's one of the things they tell us in school? Don't diagnose, especially don't diagnose your friends and family. You should not be doing that, right? And you don't know it all as a mental health professional. I don't care how many degrees you have, they are still studying the brain, the different aspects of the brain. Okay. So don't get ahead of yourself. Okay. Be curious, educate yourself, and challenge stigma. Learn more about mental health no matter where you are or what you're doing or what your profession is. I need to learn more, right? People who study mental health, researchers need to learn more, because we really, really want to tackle this thing and make sure that we're giving accurate, um, make sure we're giving good, solid um, treatment modalities for people, not junk. Okay. So you want to be able to speak with understanding when it comes to a mental health concern. Call out harmful stereotypes. For example, instead of saying just think positive, acknowledge that mental health struggles aren't a mindset choice, right? This is actually a sickness that people are dealing with. Okay. Tip number 4, you want to focus on support and not solutions. Sometimes your loved ones just need to be heard rather than fixed. People don't like it when you try to fix them. Okay. If you're constantly saying, you need to get better, we need to do this right, or you're doing this wrong, it's not helpful to your loved one who has a valid mental health concern. You want to say things like, I'm here for you no matter what. Right? Would you like help finding resources or other areas where you can get help for what you're going through? Do you just want to vent to me? I'm perfectly happy to just sit here and listen to you vent if that's what you want to do. And I will walk with you if you want to get additional help. Whether that's a professional therapist or somebody else, I will walk with you during that time. Right? It's very important when somebody's dealing with a mental health concern, particularly if it's your loved one or your family member. And tip number 5, you want to keep the conversation going. You always want to keep people talking, particularly when we're talking about self-harm or harm to others. Whenever there's a threat of that or whatever you see signs of that, right? That's a mental health concern. That's a mental health issue, right? Something is happening in the brain. Something is happening with the thought cognitive process that needs to be addressed. So talking about mental health is not just a one-time event. It is an ongoing process, particularly when you start to see continued activity of the same nature. It's an ongoing process. Encourage regular check-ins, even when things seem okay. Right? No, we have these definitions of what we mean when we say okay. All right. Um, Listen, um, many families have stigma around mental health, and we want to overcome the stigma around mental health. Right. So there's some internalized stigma that families experience. They fear judgment from others, and so we want to encourage open conversations about mental health. We want to remove the stigma, take it away, right? Say that we want to normalize it for people and say all of us struggle with some level of mental health. I believe that that's true. Lead by example in challenging negative self-beliefs. You want to remind your loved ones that seeking help is a sign of strength and not weakness. Okay. And I want to let you know that talking about mental health isn't easy, but it is so, so necessary, right? We want to keep more people here. We want to keep more people alive. We want to keep more people emotionally stable. And we want more people to have joy and happiness and freedom. Okay, and the only way we can do that is we have to talk about, communicate, right? Express what's going on in the mental health world, in our minds, in our hearts, in our bodies. By using these 5 steps, you can help create a more open, supportive space for your loved ones. If this video helped you, let me know in the comments which tip you'd like to try first. Okay, which one do you like in those, right? And I've got, there's even more things, right? More research, more things you can try, more things you can do, right? You just want to make sure you keep all your options open. Be creative on how you help your loved ones, right? Nobody knows them like you do, and nobody knows what they might be going through, what mental health concern that might be happening in their life better than you, because they're your family, they're your loved ones, they're the people that are in your life, right? So take up the responsibility, right? If you see something, say something, right? Particularly when it comes to mental health concerns. And always remember, live royally and live well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.